Wow, that sounds like an intro to me. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Paranormal Portal. I'm your host, Brent Thomas. Thank you all for joining us as we dive once again into 2 full hours of the strange and unusual and try to make some sense out of it, which is probably not likely, but we're going to talk about it anyway. And I hope you guys are having a great weekend. I see a new name popped up in the chat. It's a bit too much. It popped into the YouTube chat, so good to see you. Thanks for coming in and being a part of the journey, as always. Hope you enjoy yourself, and hope you get subscribed. We always love new family members here on the portal. We are a growing organism. I don't know what the hell we are, but we're a conglomerate of, like-minded individuals of the weird and unusual. And by God, we're going to do 2 hours of exploring just that. And speaking of weird and unusual, I'm not alone tonight. I am joined. I'm joined by tonight's co-host. Of course, you all know and love him, Mr. Jimmy Cipriano. How you doing, brother?
Hey, I am being weird and unusual tonight, as always.
That's why you fit right in here, man. That's what I'm telling you. You got to be a little broken to belong here. How you
I
doing,
love it. You
Trace?
guys are my people.
Yes, we are. We are your people. And you're our people, by God. Brent, this is my second time I'm watching this, and I love it. Peace, brother. Thank you, Drake, number one. Drake.number1. Awesome. Good to see you. Thanks for coming in and hanging out with us once again. Hopefully you come in and make yourself at home every time we stream. These live streams happen every Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday on YouTube, on Twitch, on Rumble, and they are eventually uploaded to BitChute as well. So I'm trying to blanket everybody, every area, like a bad rash. We are spreading everywhere that I know how to spread. And hopefully, we pick up more interested parties along the way. So good to see you all. Thank you so much. I'm just looking at the chat. Wizard Moon's in here. Princess Lion's in here. Rachel gets it right. John Temperin. Drake is here. Barbara Moore is here. I'm looking. Wizard Moon, did I say? Lucky Gypsy's here. How you doing, Lucky Gypsy? Good to see you. And she's keeping an eye on the Twitch as well. And she's doing a great job over there. Thank you. There's not a lot going on Twitch yet, but we're hopeful that suddenly we'll get a little momentum going over there. I'm just looking to see. Weapon X5 is in here. Weapon X5 was the first one through the door tonight, and so many more of you guys. Thank you, John Temperin. Grumpy Owl's here. I'm just scrolling up and grabbing names that I haven't said. Barbara Mora is in Rumble and in YouTube. And I got to clear the pipes. Sorry about that. The curse of sitting in silence most of the day. I think that's, John Temperin, did I say? I think that's most everybody. Suxon is in here. Suxxon. Welcome, Suxon. That's a great name. I don't know what to do with it,
Rolls
but
off the tongue.
it does. It's, and it makes me feel a little ashamed. No, I'm just well, but anyway, great to see you guys. And we got a lot to get to tonight, as always, here in the Paranormal Portal. Of course, we're going to start out with some of the news and see what's going on in the world around us. Of course, there's a lot going on in the world around us right now, and it's a pretty creepy feeling in the general scheme of things right now. But I don't know. We'll try to have fun with it and not get too dark and horrible. And I'm talking about real life. Not that this isn't real, but you know what I mean. In the show, we talk about possibilities as well as phenomena and stuff. And honestly, we just don't know much about it, but we love exploring possibilities. Now, in the real world stuff, like the all of the geopolitics going on and aggression everywhere, it's freaking scary, So we'll not dive into that stuff, but we'll dive into as much other stuff as we can. And Barbara Mora says I'm schizo. Okay. So anyway, Chucky Danger popped in too. And after the news, we'll get into the Discord question of the week tonight, ladies and gentlemen, where we'll dive into some of your reflections on the question of the week and see what you guys thought, what you had to say, and we'll dive into that. So anyway, I don't know what the hell I'm here. Somehow the phone is being loud over there. Sorry about that. And then obviously we'll dive into more of the night shift stories that we were dealing with last night. And then we'll get into the cryptids and other weirdness that I've uncovered for you. So I hope you guys are ready for a fun-filled, entertaining ride through the unusual and unknown and downright spooky. Because that's what we're going to do. Jim, first of all, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing great.
Yeah?
Fantastic. Busy week, yeah, but otherwise fantastic.
I know it was a really busy week. Ladies and gentlemen, Jimmy is, of course, the driving force behind the new investigation videos. Jim has taken my scraps and pieces and assembled them into a cohesive story and experience for you guys to enjoy. And I just released it open to everybody today. And if you didn't get the announcements or see the announcements, if you look on YouTube and Rumble, there are new videos there, new video on both platforms. And this is the investigation series. And what this is that generally speaking, when I can and when it's possible, I go out. And in this case, with my good friend, Mr. Charles Howard Johnson, and we investigated the haunted historic Davenport Hotel in Spokane, Washington. And this is a beautiful location. And we had heard stories of it being haunted, and we decided, you know what, we're going to check it out. And so we did. And we got some pretty cool evidence, some pretty cool things happened. Now, I mentioned it a little bit last night on the show, but what you won't see on the videos we put out is a lot of me. When you watch a lot of investigation videos and stuff, you get a lot of the person, the host, the channel person, a lot of them. And on network television, too. You get a lot of, let's watch them walk through spooky places. And you get to see them make scared faces and stuff. And that's really exciting. But you don't get to see a lot of what they're seeing in many cases. So we highlight what we're seeing. I don't think you need to see me make a scared face, but you probably need to see what I'm seeing, and that's the beauty of it. So you won't get a lot of FaceTime. It's just us doing our thing. Now, I will also certify with all the integrity of my soul that what you see on these videos is not staged, it's not set up, it's not fabricated. It's as things happened. And in the moments, we're making the best assessment of it we can. This investigation was my first real solid investigation. I'd done some investigating prior, but this was the first experience I had going out, meeting with Charles and doing a solid investigation for a full night at this location. Now, the hotel wasn't shut down. It's fully active. So there is ambient noises and stuff going on when you're watching it. And I did record most of it on an iPhone because that's really all I had at that time. I've since upgraded and gotten equipment and things, thanks in large part to many of your generosities and such that made that possible. But I've upgraded my collection of tools and toys to better investigate. But in any case, the volume may be a little bit all over the place, but we did our best to stabilize it and make it so that you can hear what's going on. But I would encourage you, if you watch it, to use headphones and, enjoy it. I think it was a lot of fun, and we had a marvelous time, and I'm so excited to share it with all of you. So look on the YouTube, look on Rumble, and eventually BitChute, and you will see this video. It's, again, paranormal investigating the haunted historic Davenport Theater. So hopefully you'll check it out. Look at the social media if you need direct links on our Facebooks and such. I put links everywhere I could think of on Twitter and everywhere else. So check it out and appreciate it. HB Girl to you, which is Lucky Gypsy's over in Rumble now too. Barbara Mora. Get Patriot is over there. How you doing? Good to see ya. And yeah, good to see things popping off over in Rumble. Thanks, guys. John Temperance said it was interesting. Good. Better crank that boo radar up. Good call, Wizard. I forgot to launch that. Yeah. I did forget the ghost radar. Yep, you're right. And it's the 13th. Saturday, the 13th. All right, let's get this going so we can see if something's visiting. All right, the ghost radar is now functioning and underway, and that's the green on your lower left-hand corner of the screen, and it's just a ghost radar application. And I don't pretend that everything it picks up is indeed paranormal, but sometimes we've been pretty surprised with what gets spit out of this thing. So it does have a word database, and it also does it apparently using the magnetometer detect EM anomalies in the range, which is 25-yard range circular. So keep an eye on that, because the dot is basically me in the center of that. So what you're seeing is what may be popping up around me. Wish me luck. All right, so Jimmy, are you ready for some news?
I am ready for some news. I'm always ready. I'm ready for the song that leads us into the news.
Well, let's get into it, because everybody needs a little of that kind of what would you call that? Funk?
Well, funky disco? I don't know.
I don't know either, but it's definitely a nostalgic track, and you'll know what I mean in just a second. Because, ladies and gentlemen, let's head to the news. God, I'm going to get you on camera one of these times.
Please.
I forgot to set that up. Now I remember why. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's America's most trusted news, or at least the most trusted news, according to that opener. And by God, I like the accolades that makes me feel. So it's time, ladies and gentlemen, for the news. Hey, Jimmy, can you slouch in your chair or something? I'm looking.
Yeah.
I can.
Go. My head's off.
Let me reframe this a little bit. Let me just do this a little bit. There we go. And then I'll do this. And then I'll drag you down a little bit. There you go. You look officially a part of the news now. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the Paranormal Portal News, where we dive into stories that I've pulled up and hopefully find them interesting. Some of it's paranormal and some of it's just unusual. Some of it's interesting and maybe just weird. I don't know. But we'll see what I've grabbed for you tonight, because by God, your entertainment is my biggest priority. And the first one up tonight, the reason I pulled this one up is because actually when Sheldon was on either last week or just yesterday. No, it was last week, I think. We talked about the boson Higgs, because we were talking about the particle colliders, like the Large Hadron Collider in Switzerland and such. And he's like, yeah, and if they can prove that particle exists that keeps things together. And I said, oh, the boson Higgs, yeah, they did prove that. He's like, really? So I found this article, which I thought was kind of interesting. And it does hearken to the boson Higgs particle, and this is because, according to unexplained-mysteries.com, an amazing site, please support all the sites we visit and use throughout the course of the show, because these sites are amazing, and they need your help, they need your support, they need your traffic, because your traffic equals revenue for them. It's not a cheap endeavor to host a site on the internet that gets a lot of traffic, and these sites certainly do. So please pitch in and visit these sites. So the site we're going to use right away is unexplained-mysteries.com. And the article is from Science and Technology. This might be really long. I didn't look at the scope of the entire article, but we're going to look at it now. I just want to see if that's framing up pretty good. Okay. Physicist Peter Higgs, who theorized the Higgs boson, dies at 94. So the guy who came up with the idea that, hey, maybe there's this particle out there, well, he actually passed away. So that's kind of tragic a little bit, but it's kind of what's going to happen. I'll just read the first part of it. And if anybody's interested in knowing more, by God, you can go and spend some time reading the rest of it. But Higgs was one of the biggest names in particle physics, and his work transformed our understanding of the universe. Peter Higgs, who gave his name to the subatomic particle known as the Higgs boson, has died aged 94. He really lived a long time. He must have had a few boson Higgs holding things together too, huh? He was always a modest man, especially when considering that he was one of the greats in particle physics, the area of science concerned with the building blocks of matter. In 1964, a few years after arriving from London to take up a position at the University of Edinburgh, Higgs read a paper by the American theoretical physicist Philip Anderson. At the time, physicists did not have a theory for how subatomic particles got their mass. Mass can be described as the total amount of matter in an object, while weight is the force of gravity acting on the object. Anderson's paper showed that particles can have mass. When a system in physics, such as two different subatomic particles, becomes changed, physicists sometimes described it as having broken symmetry. This can lead to the emergencies of new particles, or the emergence, rather. Not emergencies, Jimmy. Emergence. During a walk in the Scottish Highlands, Higgs had the idea of a lifetime. He figured out exactly how to apply the symmetry breaking he had read about in Anderson's paper to an important group of particles called gauge bosons. And it would lead to an explanation for how the building blocks of matter acquire their mass. Two other groups of physicists had the same idea at around the same time, Robert Brout and, what the hell is that name? Look at that. Can you see that? Look at that name. How do you say that?
Right behind the ghost radar. There you go. Brout?
Maybe it's Francois, and it just did something weird.
Francois?
Did something weird with the characters. Englert in Brussels, and Carl Hagen. Gerald Guralnick and Tom Kibble at the Imperial College in London. Well, there you go. He was the guy that got to name it, even though other people had the same idea. So I'll put the link in the chat if you guys want to check it out. You sure can. I don't know how many of you are really interested in particle physics or not, but since we just talked about it the other night, I thought, well, I'll share that because, it's kind of a momentous moment when the gentleman who came up with the official theory ended up passing away. So there you go. It's in the chats for anybody interested in learning more about it. There you go. Bad Boy's up in here. Welcome, buddy. Good to see ya. Good to see ya. Imagine if it was the Higgs kibble. Sounds like a cat food, Rachel.
Sounds delicious.
New tuna flavored Higgs kibble. Your cat'll love it. Everybody needs some Higgs kibble. I'm getting hungry just thinking about it, Jimmy.
It is cram-packed with particles and nutrients.
And mass. Yeah, our kibble has mass. There you go. Anyway, religious kibble maybe, huh? Whoa, what did I do? All right. Anyway, let's get to the next article because that one was less interesting than I thought it would be. Which often happens because, honest to God, I don't pre-read any of this stuff that I read to you guys on the show. I figure we'll read it together and we'll both react in real time. So, or all of us will react in real time. Oh, I got a cough again. Sorry, Jimmy. Hold on. Oh, Jimmy, why don't you explain to everybody about the boson Higgs and how it relates to paranormal? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
while I sit here and cough.
I don't.
Just take care of that while I'm sitting here hacking, please. I don't know. Whoa, what the hell happened to everything? Everything on my freaking screen just disappeared, dude. Like everything. Everything minimized, I swear to God, at the same time.
The ghost radar is down. I repeat, the ghost radar is down.
Everything's down. It's like, I mean, it's still there, but everything literally minimized at the same moment. I'm getting things pulled back up, but I mean, nothing closed. Particles. Nothing. Yeah. I mean, speaking of sticky particles, something's pulling crap down on my desktop here. That's strange. I've never seen that happen before. Everything just closed. Flip Daisies gave a donation. Thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate the donation. That goes a long time. Neutrons are bland. Well, they might be. We've been birthday celebrating here today. Seamus and Hera are two today. They're both each got a huge, delicious bone. Those aren't children then, right? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, Karen. Happy birthday to your pups. That's wonderful. Who ghosted y'all? I don't know. That was just strange. I mean, literally everything just minimized at the same time. It's like, what's going on here? Now, you know what else I've noticed, Jimmy? And I think I might be time for a new mouse. I'm not saying this is paranormal, but sometimes I'll just be sitting here and suddenly my mouse will just start moving across the screen. And my mouse is stationary, but it might just be really dirty. I'm sure it's technology just getting dated and stuff, but it's like, well, that's bizarre.
Let's not rule out the paranormal.
Well, let's not rule it out. I'm not saying it couldn't be, but I'm just saying, well, you know. All right, Flip Dizzy. What's a Flip Dizzy? What happened? Oh, Flip Dizzy's the one that gave the donation. Sorry. Yeah, I'm functioning on about 3 working brain cells at this point. It was a hell of a week for me too. Brent took the God particle in vain. Yeah, no kidding, Annie. Yeah, you do not mock the God particle. You don't make cat food jokes out of it. Apparently, that is in bad taste, and you will reap the wrath of the boson Higgs. It just sucked all my windows to the taskbar.
Here?
Yeah, I think so. All right. Where the hell am I? Oh yeah. Well, here's something else. And Jimmy, did you hear about any strange object orbiting the moon?
No, I have not. Just the eclipse was the last I heard of the moon.
Yeah, well, apparently there's, I don't know. This is the first I'm hearing about it, is this headline. And again, I haven't read it, so I don't know what we're going to get into here. But it's coming from the UFO phenomena files of unexplained-mysteries.com. And this is NASA offers explanation for mysterious object orbiting the moon. I had no idea there was a mysterious object orbiting the moon. But there's an image. Well, what the hell's that? Looks like a sliver. I mean, it's literally like a little. I mean, are you seeing that image?
Yeah. Weird.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of it. I mean, clearly you can see the craters in the background, but whatever this is. Let's see what NASA says, because they know everything. Apparently.
Silver Surfer. I'm calling it now. Before we even read it.
Yeah, but where's he? That's the problem. He fell off.
That's a good question.
He wiped. He said that's what that crater got there, probably. NASA's Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, LRO, recently photographed a curious object moving at high speed. The object, which resembles a thin black streak in the pictures, quickly became a topic of debate on social media, with users speculating over exactly what it could be. It wasn't long before various media outlets had also picked up on the story. While rumors of alien visitors and top-secret black projects promptly ensued, it was NASA that ultimately stepped in to offer an explanation and to settle the debate once and for all. Really? Okay. Let's see what they had to say. It turned out that the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, LRO, they keep putting it in there, had been deliberately poised to take the shot. No mean feat, considering that the object had been traveling at 2 miles per second. Oof. The UFO was, in fact, a Danuri. The Republic of Korea's first ever lunar spacecraft. Oh, really? NASA's LRO, they're going to give it to me again. Now they went NASA's LRO, Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter. Yeah, we covered that. Thank you.
That must be a new term they're really driving home.
I know, it's like, I feel like this is intentional at this point. Which has been circling and studying the moon for 15 years, captured several images of Korea's Aerospace Research Institute's Danuri lunar orbiter last month, NASA wrote. The 2 spacecraft, traveling in nearly parallel orbits, zipped past each other in opposite directions between March 5th and 6th, 2024. LRO's narrow-angle camera, they didn't finally spell it out. That was nice. They skipped it that time. One in a suite of cameras known as LURK captured the images featured here during 3 orbits that happened to be close enough to Danuri's to grab snapshots. Well, there you go. It must be a dinky thing, whatever it is. I mean, obviously what they're saying is basically it was moving so fast, the frame rate caused the capture to be stretched out. But still, I don't know. How big is it? What's it the size of a chiclet or a piece of gum or what? Jesus, That's tiny.
Very tiny.
Yeah, exactly. They blew the budget on getting it there. They didn't have much to put there after that. But well, there you go, folks. So when you see this image, it's just South Korea's orbiter, whatever the hell they're doing there. No, I mean, they're welcome to for whatever measure. But yeah, I didn't know everybody was lobbing stuff at the moon anymore. I mean, it's like, I know China did, and I think Japan had something crash, what they tried to lob up there, but I had no idea South Korea was doing that too. So everybody's throwing stuff at the moon for some reason. Go figure.
That's crazy.
I've heard it's made of cheese, so you never know.
I have heard that.
Sorry. That was so lame. I do that just to crack myself up. Sorry. I just see what's the stupidest thing I can spit out of my mouth sometimes. And usually it's a lot, surprisingly. Go figure. All right.
I'd use that if I had it.
All right, let's get to the next story. And I got to open that up too because that minimized as well. There it is. The next story up on our news festival of fun here is kind of a weird one. I don't know if this sounds more tragic to me because I can't imagine. Have you ever laughed so long, Jimmy, that your ribs were just killing you?
All the time. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, right. I mean, of course we all have. Well, this poor soul is laughing all the time. And this comes from Science and Technology. It's probably another one that, oh no, it's not too long, so we can check it out. But here you go. According to unexplained-mysteries.com, real-life Joker suffers from uncontrollable pathological laughter. Sorry, I muted the wrong line. So yeah, this guy laughs all the time. He must have abs of steel though, right?
He's gotta, yeah. And honestly, if they're already calling him a real life Joker, we gotta start keeping tabs on this guy.
I know it. If this is his picture, he might be a real life vampire too. I mean, look at those canines.
Seriously.
Jeez, that guy could just eat the hell out of a steak. All right,
He's just trying to show him off.
that's right. Look at I've lost. The titular character of the popular movie and its upcoming sequel suffers from an affliction that is based on a real-life condition. Imagine finding yourself experiencing uncontrollable bouts of laughter, sometimes lasting 10 minutes at a time, while out at a restaurant, at a doctor's surgery. Okay, bend over and cough. It's just the wrong time. That would be in bad taste. It's like, no, honest, I can't help it. Or even while attending a funeral. Oh, God, could you imagine?
Oh, what is that guy's deal?
No kidding. This real-life malady known as, pseudobulbar? The pseudobulbar effect. And then it's PSA. Okay. Has the same condition suffered by the character Arthur Fleck, as played by Joaquin Phoenix in Joker, and its upcoming sequel. Such uncontrollable bouts of laughter remain a daily reality for Scott Lotan from Virginia Beach in the U.S., whose condition can make even basic everyday tasks quite challenging. Imagine how many times he got beat up growing up. I mean, just like, oh no, don't laugh, don't. Yeah.
Don't do it.
Yeah, and it's too late. It's too late. A video showing him trying to control his symptoms while periodically laughing hysterically at nothing whatsoever can be viewed below. As you can imagine, it can be very difficult to deal with. They should just hire him as a permanent audience member in a comedy club.
Oh my God, yeah, that's a calling right there.
That's it. That's it, man. You know, you don't need a laugh track. You just need like 3 of these guys. I had issues with not being served at restaurants and being asked to leave because wait staff were uncomfortable. He previously told LAD Bible, many times if I'm out for a drink with friends, there's someone with low self-esteem that believes I'm laughing at them and they will try to start a fight. Didn't see that coming. Yeah, of course.
That's got to be terrible. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and it turns out to be like during a jiu-jitsu convention or something. It's like, nope, that's a bad time.
Off the list. Yeah, no offense for that.
Maybe want to stay home. His condition was brought into sharp focus back in 2023 when he attended the scene of a fatal car accident that had resulted in the deaths of both his mother and his fiance. Oh, God. Oh, the bad timing awards.
That's terrible.
Yeah. I remember being at the scene laughing and being questioned by police, he said. At the wakes for both my mother and my fiance, I would have to separate myself from everyone as I would burst into laughter at times. Oh, dear God, that's horrible. Yeah, that would be excruciating. I don't know, you want to see it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, this is by PBA Film. They've got all of 105 subscribers, so let's check it out, though. I'm not familiar with this, but... All right, here we go, folks. We're going to look at what this guy goes through. I just can't imagine. But let's see. Okay, we don't want the music. I just got to wait till we get to... He has uncontrollable laughing episodes. Yeah. Due to little known disorder. I can't play it because they played music through the whole thing. I tell you what, I'll just put a link in the chats for this one, and you guys can check it out. I didn't know this is a real thing, but you know, I certainly feel real sorry for the guy. That's got to be a hellish way to live, dude. You could just bust out
absolutely.
laughing. Yeah. You go to like a gangbanger convention and you start laughing. It's like, oh, not a good time.
Oh my God. On a very small scale, I get the, I don't know, not uncontrollable, but I laugh at inappropriate times. So I feel a hair of his pain, but oh my God, that's got to be terrible.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Trace Linnell says it's better than falling asleep. Yeah, that's true too. Probably. You probably, I mean, God, I don't know. If you start laughing hard enough, it's hard to even see. And, you know, can you imagine you're in the middle of a tough driving situation and you start rolling? I can't imagine. I mean, honestly, my heart goes out to this guy because that's got to be real. Just a fresh kind of hell.
Yeah.
Just a fresh kind of hell. I wonder if there's medicine.
The upside is the abs.
Yeah, the abs. Yeah, absolutely. It's good core workout. Absolutely. The upside is the abs. Maybe I should get that disorder. Kind of harden up the abs a little bit. But interesting story. Interesting story. Jesus. Omar, what is wrong with you? I don't know. I'm going to say it anyway. He says I get uncomfortable farts.
Uncontrollable?
Yeah. Oh, uncontrollable. I said uncomfortable.
Yeah. That's like, a fate worse than death.
That's yeah.
The list of events he can go to is way shorter.
Yeah. Yeah, people might be able to deal with the laughter, but everybody's got to deal firsthand with flatulence. Nobody gets away from that one.
Silent but constant.
Yeah. Chucky says you have an air about you. Yeah, I wonder about that, Wizard Moon. They say laughing is good for you. So at least he has that going for him. Good points.
The best medicine. He's never sick.
Exactly.
Other than the laughter.
Yeah. Oh, man. But those abs, I'm just saying.
Those abs.
That's a weird story. I didn't know that was a thing, but that's a thing.
That's crazy.
You heard it here, folks.
I've not heard like anyone else with that condition.
I know. It's like you hear about, of course, Tourette's, and there's several, I hate the term influencers, but I don't know, several Twitch or a few Twitch personalities that have that, and I mean it's a real thing. I've not experienced that firsthand, but it's you get better make sure you're in familiar company with something like Tourette's, but this is just as debilitating, I would think. But anyway, there you go. I didn't know it was a thing, but maybe you didn't know, but it's a thing, ladies and gentlemen. Did I put the link in there? Did I share it?
I don't think so.
I don't think I did either. I think I got distracted by the uncontrollable farts.
Yeah, Omar threw me for
yeah, Omar just threw me way off track with that. Thanks. Just taking some steam off the valve. All right. Let's copy that. I'll put it in the chat if you guys want to watch the actual video of what this guy goes through. I mean, it's of course, I mean, it's in many ways, it's humorous, but if you think about actually suffering from that, it's got to be hell.
Yeah.
No, I did put it in there. I did put it in because I just put it in twice in Rumble. Okay. There it goes. Corks work great. They might, Chucky. I don't know. I'm just going to leave that there. All right. We got one more in the news, and then we're going to get on to the rest of our journey tonight. And this one's kind of different. I don't know if you guys remember hearing about this, but apparently Saudi Arabia was all set to create this mega city that literally existed in one street. And it was going to be like several miles long, but this whole mega city was going to be there. And I don't know. I remember seeing some of the plans for it. I remember talking about it on the show years ago, maybe a year ago, something like that. But then it just kind of faded away into nothing. So we've got an update though, folks, because from unexplained-mysteries.com comes the next article, which is what happened to Saudi Arabia's 1.5 trillion, 105 mile long megacity. 105 miles. Just one. I mean, it'd be great for giving directions. Just go that way. You don't have to hang a left at the gas station or anything. Just that way or that way. So pretty easy. You just got to worry about right and left, I guess, at that point.
At the library, you've got 100 miles too far.
Yeah. That's the problem, wouldn't it, though? I mean, literally, if everything's stretched out in one straight line, you probably got to go a hell of a lot long distance just to get to, a grocery store or something,
Yeah.
Could be 30 miles away.
You made a wrong turn. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll never make a wrong turn. And like the Domino's people have like dragsters. Uber Eats or whatever.
Every day.
Yeah, exactly. It would have been one of the most revolutionary and ambitious constructions on Earth. So where is it? Back in 2022, it was revealed that Saudi Arabia, with the backing of the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, was going to be building a structure like no other. An enormous city, 105 miles long and costing over $1 trillion. That would resemble a giant wall in which up to 9 million people would live. The building, known as the Line, would consist of two 1,600-foot buildings running parallel to one another. That's not enough, is it? 1,600 feet? Buildings running complete parallel to one another with the entire self-contained city between them. Complete with a transportation network, greenhouses for growing food, shops, houses, parks, recreational facilities, and everything else needed to live and work there. Suffice to say, building something like this would be no easy task, and it seemed from the outset that the estimated completion date of 2030 was a bit overly ambitious, to say the least. Well, it comes to no surprise that the project has reportedly been scaled back considerably. Yeah, I mean,
what?
Yeah, I guess it's just going to be a trailer park now. They're just got one road and a trailer community. Documents recently seen by Bloomberg suggested that the planning has been plagued by a number of issues ranging from the Crown Prince's changing demands to the sheer impossibility of the task. Some of those working on the project have described it as untethered from reality. Budgetary issues are also thought to be hampering the process. And as things stand, it is believed that the structure, if it actually goes ahead at all, will be a mere 1.5 miles in length by 2030, which is 70 times less than the original plan had dictated. The most recent official progress update video can be viewed below. If anybody's interested, I don't know. I think we'll just leave it there. If you want to learn more, go to Unexplained-Mysteries and look up this article in Science and Technology. And it sounded like kind of an interesting thing, but I guess in retrospect, it was a pipe. It was a pipe dream. Thank you. I'm here all night.
Sounds like when you're playing Sim City and you just get an idea.
Yeah.
Like a really weird idea. You're like, I'm going to do this playthrough today. And you just kind of realize it's not going to work out.
That is not going to work out. Yep. Then you start throwing tornadoes at stuff and just let it rip. And then the hurricane came. Yep. All right, build those walls out of sand with teeny tiny trowels and tiny buckets of mortar. Yeah, I mean they got plenty of sand to work with. Actually, in reality though, I guess the Saharan and other desert sands are much too fine that they actually have to import sand for any concrete projects. So if you can imagine how many beaches they would have eaten up on other places just to bring that to life, that's must have been insane.
Yeah, absolutely infuriating knowing you're surrounded by sand that you can't use.
Yeah, I know. It's like, well, what do you do with it? Nothing. Just keep sweeping. Just keep sweeping. Lots of broom sales over there, I imagine. But yeah, I guess it's like a real fine sand. It's like a powder, is what I understand. So
Very
I don't know.
spice.
Exactly. Let's see. I'm gonna get this open because that's coming up next. So this has been a presentation of the Paranormal Portal News. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Found it at least mildly entertaining and informative. And, if you learned something new, you're welcome. And let's get back to the rest of the show. Oops, a little early. Got to actually hit this. I gotcha. I cut it short just to get you a little bit of your dance, your little chair dancing.
There was the fingers.
It was the fingers.
That
Yep.
with a happy dad. It's a lot of pointing.
Spirit fingers. Yep, absolutely. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That was the news. Hopefully you enjoyed that. I cut that short because we had to catch Jimmy in the act. He's been taunting me with that for a while now. By God, I'm going to make him famous for it. So, Jimmy, you ready to do some Discord?
I'm ready to do some Discord.
Discord, ladies and gentlemen.
Notebook.
It's time for the Discord question of the week. We are going to get into the question of the week, and for those of you that might be brand new to the show, and I know that generally we've picked up a few listeners lately, and I shouldn't get distracted by chat, but just caught Rachel's last comment, so... All right, you guys are just totally taking me out of my game here. Anyway, it's like, how far can flatulence jokes go? Well, they can go quite far.
All the way down the chat tonight.
Yeah, exactly. We do this thing where we ask, and Chucky Danger's been championing this for quite some time, and special thanks to Chucky for doing that because we like to get your opinion on things. Now, with the paranormal and the unusual and the unknown, we just don't know. We don't know what we're dealing with. We don't know what this stuff is all about. And it's part of our journey as, doing the portal is just to keep looking into possibilities and ideas and listen to actual encounter stories and such and try to glean some kind of understanding. But, through the course of the show, as you guys get our impressions of the phenomena all the time. But many of you out there are incredibly well thought in regards to these things as well. And the things you guys have shared, your reflections on these questions has been really breathtaking. And you guys have really caused me to look in new directions, just trying to understand. And, it's been great. So there are no wrong answers. I just want to push that first and foremost. It's what, I got that saying from Wes, obviously, but it's true for all of this stuff. We just don't know what's going on. And no matter what you think, your ideas are just as valid as anyone else's, because if you look at things in the truly pure scientific method, all ideas are just as viable as others until they can be absolutely tested and refuted. And we can't do that. So whatever you think is just as valid as what I think, or Jimmy thinks, or Sheldon, or Don, or anybody. So you guys have had some great input. So it is time, ladies and gentlemen, for the question of the week. All right, so it's time for the question of the week, ladies and gentlemen, and we are going to get to that now. And This will be read and presented by Mr. Jimmy Cipriano.
Hey.
Are you ready, Jimmy? Here's the.
I am ready as ever.
Okay, here's the Discord. When you join, and it's new for many of our listeners, and we appreciate that. You guys are coming in and figuring it out. We had a couple of new members join today, which is really cool. I just wanted to welcome them to the show officially, and Taipan is one of them. And Taipan's been a listener on Rumble for a while now, and it's been great. Where the hell is it? I don't know where the hell it went. But there's two new listeners, one of which is Bob. Bob came in, so we've been saying hi to Bob, and the other one was Taipan 007. And so welcome, both of you. We appreciate you here. And when you get to the Discord, you're going to be in the general tab right away. All you have to do is just up and down this list, and if you use your mouse scroll wheel, you can go up and down. And these are all the discussion threads that are going on. Bigfoot, Dogman, Ghost, UFO, extraterrestrial encounters, cryptids, music, strange phenomena, Paranormal Portal, Paranormal Library, and the paranormal movies and TV. People recommend books or shows that they've watched. So we do have a Discord tutorials section here. If you just click on that and use your mouse wheel over here, it'll bring you to some videos that'll help you learn to navigate this. It is a little awkward at first, but once you figure it out, it's very easy. But the questions of the week are hosted here. And that's what we're going to get into now. And so thanks again to Chucky Danger for coming up with these questions and helping to moderate all this. And thank you to all of our Discord mods as well. You guys are great. Thank you so much. So take it away, Mr. Jimmy.
Alrighty. Coming from Chucky, what is a lesser known cryptid / paranormal being that you would like to know more about? And right off the bat, we got Bernie Cuda with the squonk.
Squonk. Oh, yeah. I've heard of that. There's I think there's even like proposed images about out there. But I appreciate this question too, because it really is kind of cool to see what people want to learn more about, because it helps me to try to aim some of these shows at some of these topics. So the squonk is one of them. Cool.
I like it. I've seen the squonk. I'm not super familiar with the squonk, but I definitely looked it up. I recognize that image of the squonk.
Yeah.
I'm definitely looking more into the squonk after this.
Yeah.
And from John T, the BF Dogman mix. I've seen them, but not much said about them.
Mm-hmm.
BF Dogman mix.
Bigfoot Dogman mix.
Bigfoot Dogman mix. Okay.
Right. And
abbreviation.
I think it's more of I think what John is referring to is what is often termed a googway. They're kind of a baboon-faced Bigfoot. So like they got the canid snout, but they do look really baboonish from the Beast of Seven Shoots, if that's what he's talking about. But it seems to be some possible hybrid or just another branch of the Bigfoot tree. But allegedly they're incredibly aggressive and dangerous, like uber dangerous. Like they just as soon kill you as see you, that kind of thing. Ooh. So yeah, I think that's what he's talking about. But yeah, we'll definitely address that a little more.
We got Carolyn, yes. Yes, Bertie Cuda, the squonk. Okay. Another one for the squonk.
Another vote for the squonk.
Eric the Purple Hobbit 007. The Puckwudgie. It's the Puckwudgie.
Are you familiar with those, Jimmy?
I'm not, no.
So the Puckwudgie is kind of like, it almost is like a gnome that's covered in hair. Like they hate people. they're rumored to use like poison arrows and effectively target people in the woods and try to lure them, and could possibly be one of the reasons people disappear in the forests and stuff. There's legends going back to the First Nations having to do with giants and the Puckwudgies and stuff, but essentially they are these. I mean, they really don't like people. And because they were kind of competing with the giants for the people's favor back in the day, according to First Nations legends, and basically the people adored the giants, but the Puckwudgies kind of screwed up a lot of stuff trying to win people's favor, and so people dismissed them, and that pissed off the Puckwudgies, which then targeted the giants, and then the giants retaliated and kicked them all over the world. That's why they spread. And then they targeted the giants more and ended up killing them off for the most part. But they now just hate seeing people. So that's the nutshell of the Pukwudgie.
I wonder if it's because we named them the Pukwudgies.
Yeah, they probably weren't invited to the naming convention.
Some slight hostility.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, God.
We got a hallelujah _goat _ the Vernon Yeti. I'm not familiar with that one either.
I don't think I am either. The Vernon Yeti?
Look that up.
Huh. I imagine it has to do with Mount Vernon, but I didn't know they had a specific Yeti there. That's interesting.
Right. Well, it immediately took me to Yeti coolers. So.
Oh. That might have to do with your search history, though.
Yeah.
You're outdoorsy kind of guy.
We got Cryptid Chaos, Gargoyles, and Fairies. I know they're well known, but I haven't heard anything about them. Yeah, Gargoyles and Fairies definitely interest me. Fairies really interest me with just kind of I don't know, the backstory of them, kind of the creepy nature of what they do in the woods. That's always something I like reading about.
Yeah, I think that's true, and honestly, gargoyle stories are few and far between. That's not to suggest that there isn't many experiences with them, but I think, for things like Bigfoot, Dogman, those are much more traditional topics that people have become much more comfortable discussing. But I think people probably still experience things with like the Fae and with potential gargoyle type encounters, but they just don't want to come forward because nobody really discusses that yet. And so, yeah, I'll look into those topics and see if we can bring more of that to the show for sure.
Yeah, we got Animal Annie. We got Australian ones, not the drop bear. LOL. That one's tough because I feel like it's a lot of animals in Australia could easily just be animals.
Yeah.
Not cryptids.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of things in Australia seem to have the ability to kill you, so.
Yeah, that's not a dog. This is a dog.
And that's not a dog. That's a dingo. There you go.
We got Neil Aberdeen. When you get all of the answers, I will answer you to the next one. And, okay.
Cool.
Let's see, we got Charlotte. I know it's just a lumberjack cryptid, but the slide rock bolter is a favorite. There isn't much out there about it for obvious reasons. Even the name is cool. Very 1800s, LO. Yeah. I wonder if it can be tulpid?
Tulpid, yeah, like a thought form.
Oh, gotcha. Tulpid up if more people knew about it. Hopefully not because it sounds dangerous. That is a cool name.
It is. I don't pretend to know anything about that name, but I'm curious. Generally speaking, I think a lot of these weird named things like this are that, what is it? There's one that I can't remember. The hide behind is another one. And basically, if you know about Bigfoots, one of their constant reported observed behaviors is to tree peek. They call them tree peekers. And so the hide behinds are often regarded as these shadowy figures that kind of lean out from trees and then lean back in, and then when they're investigated, they're already gone. And so people think that they're something like a ghostly thing or something else, but I think, in it's possible that what the hell was that name? What was the name?
Slide rock bolter?
Yeah, the slide rock bolter is probably just a regional explanation of people experiencing this thing sliding rocks down the hill at the lumberjacks, so, and of course, rocks and Bigfoot is a big thing as well. So
yeah,
I think that these regional names like this are probably just local interpretations of the Bigfoot phenomena, but I could be absolutely wrong.
Like a Sam Squanch.
Sam Squanch. Absolutely, Bubbles.
Maggie M10, the deep sea abominable snowman. Only one account of it, I believe, but it's interesting in my opinion. Yeah, absolutely. That's deep sea abominable snowman.
That's I don't know that I know that one. I'll have to look into that one. That one's brand new to me.
Sounds terrifying.
Right. I mean, because you think of the abominable snowman as this hairy thing, and if it sounds like an aquatic creature by the title, so. I don't know that hair and aquatic creatures necessarily works together, but then again, polar bears can be largely aquatic and they seem to do well. So maybe I don't know. That's a new one to me.
Another terrifying, terrifying idea.
Yeah.
Chucky Danger, Mersquatch. Yep, love it.
It's got to be. I mean,
Uh,
there's Bat Squatch, there's Sasquatch, there's, there's all kinds of different ones like that. So why not a Mersquatch? That could happen.
Maggie M10, Aqua Hairy Man. Yep.
I think you guys are just funning with me now.
I think that might be Jason Momoa, Aqua Hairy Man.
That's probably true. All right.
Uh, yeah, Rachel 101 for me, the hide behind. Oh yeah. Yep. Next would be ground dwelling fae. Gnomes,
Hmm.
goblins, trolls, brownies, maybe red caps.
Oh yeah, the red
Yeah.
caps. Red caps
Ground
are the
dwelling fae.
yeah
Oh,
ground
sorry,
dwelling
what are
fae.
red caps?
No, red caps are the like the garden gnome statues.
Oh yeah.
They're red caps. Well, essentially in the proto pygmy research and a lot of the surviving lore from different cultures, but basically the red cap gnomes are horrible creatures. They really don't like us either. And maybe that kind of makes sense because I think there's a long history of people going, "Hey, what's that? I don't know, let's shoot it." And we probably earned some of that angst from our forebears, but yeah, I think that they don't like people very much at all. So
Yeah, that seems to be a common trend.
yeah, it does, and I can't say I blame them. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe we earned it. So
Yeah. The ground dwelling fae, those ones are, I know a little bit about those. Those ones interest me. The fae always interest me with I don't know, just the stories of people. The thing that creeps me out is the bells sometimes that people hear. I don't know if you've heard of that, but like the bells in the sky that kind of accompany them sometimes. That is just a
oh
horrifying thought for me.
yeah, I'm sure. It sounds very familiar. I love looking into the Fae. I think that a lot of people aren't quite ready to go there in their ideas of the unknown and stuff. But I'm here. I really believe that every legend is born of some truth, and the fact that so many disparate cultures around the world, which weren't like familiar with each other, but have very similar legends of these small, diminutive humanoid creatures that were mischievous and causing problems and sometimes benevolent, but also sometimes not so benevolent. So I think those stories are very interesting, and there were definitely worth exploring.
Absolutely. Barbara Moore, I'm with Rachel, the tiny people of different cultures. Yep.
Hmm.
And
Yep.
that always makes me think of like some people when they have near-death experiences and they report seeing the gnome people.
Oh yeah.
That's always interesting. Yeah.
And the clockwork gnomes with the DMT people, people that are
Yes.
experimenting with DMT. And that's very interesting because, these are people that may or may not have had any foreknowledge of what to expect under those kind of circumstances, messing around with hallucinogenics, and but still coming back and talking about these clockwork gnomes. They're almost these mechanical things that and I don't understand a lot about it, but I find it very interesting that people have a similar sightings or experiences in this hallucinogenic state. So are they seeing something that might very well be there, or is it just affecting our mental processes so similarly that people generate the same hallucinations? I don't know, but it's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's always the question. That fascinates me. All of the, because I mean, you get people from entirely different walks of life and different beliefs reporting the same stuff, which is just wild to me.
Yes, exactly. And to me, that's at least suspect enough that it should be regarded with, more investigation rather than just dismissal.
Absolutely, yeah. Let's see, SoCal Squatcher, the Klickitat Bearcat from Washington State. Love that name.
That is really cool. Click at that bear cat.
Yeah, Bearcat, Klickitat Bearcat.
I
Sick
don't
band
think
name.
I don't think I'm real familiar with that one either. I can't say I've ever heard of that before, but I found, I think this is interesting because it'll be interesting to look into some of these.
Sorry, I was looking it up.
Oh,
Oh,
are you?
yep,
What's it look
yep.
like?
Okay. It looks like, well, some of these look like they might be AIs, but it looks like a bear and a cat.
Oh, okay. So like just a blend. Okay, gotcha. Gotcha.
Uh, let's see. Check your danger
Oh,
to Artemis Rex.
yeah,
Oh,
Artemis
sorry,
Rex.
Artemis Rex.
Yep.
Yep. Here in North Carolina, we have stories about the mermaids of Cape Fear. Love it.
Ooh, that would be
Love
cool.
mermaid stories.
I'd love Artemis if you're listening, if you have any information or links about that, I'd love for you to forward it to me. Because I really do love stories about like merfolk and stuff. Those again, another legend as old as time, but people occasionally still have sightings of these things. So people are seeing something. And so it'd be great to look into. But if, and this goes out to any of you, if you have links or any information that you can pass on to me in order to cover it on the show, and which will help me to research it further. So I would appreciate that.
Absolutely. Those ones are just, I watch a lot of videos on like the siren
Mm-hmm.
calls and like people, and I don't know, it's tough because I edit, so it's like I'm always going in with that level of skepticism, but
Sure.
like some of the noises that you hear on those are absolutely spine chilling.
Yeah. Are you thinking of the one where that guy's on the boat and he's, out in
Yes.
the
Yep.
darkness and you hear those squeals and stuff? And
He's in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. Oh my
yes,
God. Yeah.
I just saw that one too. I was like, God, that's creepy, you know? And
Yeah.
right, I mean, first and foremost, whenever you see something online, you've got to regard it with quite a bit of skepticism because there's so many people just putting out garbage. And
Yeah.
and they can do it really well. They can really, have you hook, line, and sinker. But it is interesting, and it's not contrary to the legends and the tales of people experiencing this and swearing by their experience. So
Yeah.
even if it is a fabrication, I think it's a good example of what it may be like to actually experience it.
Yeah. Got Karen Aberdeen. Literally, the only thing I can think of is the chupacabra, and that one is pretty well known. Sorry. No,
Oh,
I love the chupacabra.
yeah. The interesting thing for me about the chupacabra is the metamorphosis of it, because of course, the chupacabra, everybody knows, stands for the goat sucker. And
Yeah.
it was supposedly this small creature with like these spiny protrusions on its back, almost like a really big porcupine quills. And yet it was had glowing eyes and these like vampiric fangs, and it would suck the life out of things. But since then, there's reports of other things that look more like these mangy coyotes that I mean still are very peculiar and unusual, but they're often called chupacabras just because, well, it must be a chupacabra. I don't know what the hell it is. It's got to be a chupacabra. So there's a lot of that going on. I don't know what chupacabra really means anymore, but I think in the traditional sense, it's very interesting. We just got
Yeah.
another entry too.
All right. SoCal Squatcher. The gnomes down in Mexico are interesting too. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and the
Nice.
duende, and yeah, there's so many, the stick Indians, and I realize that may sound disparaging to some, but it's just literally a term called stick Indians, and you can look that up for yourself as well. But I love the little people stuff, and we've had a wonderful guest on the show several times in the past, but her name is Robin Moonshadow, and she has made it a big part of her life's work to document and research these proto pygmies and stuff. And she's really a wealth of knowledge. And she has a group on Facebook. I'm going to try to remember what it is. Strange Realms. And I think her website is strangerealms.net or .org, one of those two. And she has a lot of great stories on her site and kind of documents her work. But she's a wonderful person and very knowledgeable. Water babies too, Barbara Morris says. Ooh.
Ooh.
Water babies. God, I hadn't heard of that. I think that was a First Nations legend first, wasn't it? As I recall, Barbara. I don't know for sure though. But
Crook.
crook. It said crook.
Ooh.
A crook. CROOK. That's
I
what
am not a crook.
I'm not a crook. Do
Ooh.
your best, Nixon.
I am not a crook. The people deserve to know.
Well, there you go. Yeah, very interesting. Thank you to everybody that weighed in on this list. I think this is really cool. And it's great to hear what you guys have to say and the things that you are interested in knowing more about, because I will do my best to refer to at least as many of these as I can. I kind of want to check into the squonk since
Yeah.
that one came up a
Yeah.
couple of times. And it is I mean, the picture that is coming to mind that I saw, they're kind of adorable. Am I thinking of the
Yeah.
same thing?
Yeah,
Okay.
they're gross looking, but they are adorable.
So maybe if there's squonk out there, and here's the thing, I mean, today's today's cryptids will be tomorrow's established science. Like, again, I keep going back to what Lloyd Pye talked about with pandas. It's like pandas were these impossible creatures for a long time, and just legend and folklore and a bunch of hooey. And there was no way science could reconcile the fact that there was this bear that was vegetarian and was allegedly black and white and could remained unfound in a green forest. So I mean, and so people had these ideas about the panda, like, God, they must be so smart, they must be so cunning. And then after apparently 60 years of expeditions in a very small area of China, they finally discovered real pandas. And as Lloyd Pye put it, they found out that they're about as smart as a bag of hammers. I mean, they're pandas are not the most cunning, agile, and discreet creatures, and sure enough, they live on bamboo and other things, plant life. So it was a real surprise and a real eye opener for science that this was a real thing. But it was dismissed and scoffed at for long time until they were actually discovered. And there's new families or types of orangutan being discovered in Indonesia. And so it's not without merit, even in our more modern world, that we're still discovering things that we didn't know were there. Now, oftentimes people think, well, it's the ocean, the ocean's going to turn up all the mysteries. But I think there's plenty still up here walking around with us. We just haven't figured out where they are, and how to find them. But, I think that's part of the deal. So,
Absolutely.
but we really appreciate everybody weighing in and letting us know your thoughts on this. And we hope you guys enjoy this part of the show. I think it's great because it gives you guys a platform to say, here's what I'm interested. Here's what I think about this. And again, your angles and your logics are sometimes so inspiring to me, oftentimes inspiring to me. So thank you to everybody that took the time to be a part of the discussion, and keep watching this thread because Chucky will post a new one and we'll hit it again next Saturday. So anyway, yeah, nice job, Jimmy. You did good.
Thank you. And I did see, I think Barbara asked when I was talking about the fairies and the bells. I think, if I recall correctly, I think the bells are like, it was a story, somebody's personal story on Reddit. They were lost in the woods when they were a kid. They heard the bells and everything was silent. And everyone in the comments was saying that the bells are protective. And they were assuming that she was being followed by like a cat or a bear or something. And they were trying to protect this little girl.
Oh, okay. Well, that's pretty cool. Yeah. That's a cool angle on it. Yeah. I mean, they can be benevolent.
I'd like to think they help.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love to think that they're mostly benevolent and maybe mischievous, but maybe it's more in a, just a kidding kind of way, or just to, have fun. But, there are the stories of people being lured away and never seen again. But maybe
That was a lot of the other comments on that too. Yeah.
yeah. And that's of course not the cool part. So anyway, very cool. And I appreciate that. What is going on in the episode discussions? Oh, this is going to be relevant for a story we're going to cover later, because we are going to get into a story from Sasquatch Chronicles dealing with a human-like face on a Bigfoot. And last night on the show, and this ended up becoming a big side discussion, Jimmy, if you can see this. This is in the episode discussion thread. And this is the picture that was captured by Jeff Yellick and his wife in Colorado. And here's the full-size picture. But somehow they were able to see that, look, there's a face in this area right here peeking through, and this is a close-up of that face. Can you see that when you're looking at it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it sees me.
Yeah, exactly. And that's amazingly people that have firsthand experience with seeing Sasquatch. Many of the reported descriptions of them is they have this gray charcoal-like skin. And it's just this, almost looks like a smooth leather, but, they don't have, this big bushy facial hair or anything. A lot of times they have chin hair and stuff, but around the mouth and the nose It's generally pretty wide open. I think they have some form of mustache often. If you think of the Patty Patterson Gimlin film, she seemed more hairy, but there are different types of Bigfoot, I think. Or at least there's a biodiversity in that. Some of them look very, very human. And I think this was one of those. This is, and apparently, as I recall, I had Jeff and his wife on a show because I saw this image years ago. And I think they said that this was like 7 or 8 feet tall as they measured. After they got the picture, they went back to the area and measured how tall would this have to have been to be peeking through like that. And it was between like 7 or 8 feet or 8 feet-ish. And so that's not just somebody, standing there peeking through. And so it could be one of the great captures of what might be an actual Sasquatch. The other thing that I marveled at, Jimmy, was the size of the eye. This is all
that's huge.
One big eyelid, and that's another thing that comes out of firsthand experiences is how big their eyes are. And certainly this is squinting. It's a daylight experience, but I mean, yeah, I'm really convinced.
Is that on the right in ear? It looks like a donkey ear.
No, I think this is just shrubs or whatever.
Okay.
Just part of the foliage or the sticks that are in front of it. But it's amazing how well it blends in, and how they caught this picture. I have no idea. They must have like eagle eyes, but
absolutely. I wonder if they even knew they caught it.
At the time, no, but they were going through it, and they were just really checking it out because they did. I think as it happened, they heard something back there and just started snapping pictures. And I'd have to re-listen to the interview, but I really love talking to them, and I really think this is something I saw years and years ago, and then finally had the opportunity to talk to them because I looked them up and said, "Hey, would you like to be on the show?" And they agreed to come on, and we had a great discussion. But yeah, there was a reason they took these pictures or this picture, and then they were just going through. It was like, "Hey, is that a face?" And sure enough, I think it is. I think it's an excellent capture, but it may be the face of a Sasquatch.
I'm lost looking at it right now.
I know,
I'm
right?
looking at the nose too. Like it's just the chin. I mean, it really looks
I
shaped out.
Can't really see the chin, as I imagine that's
Is
somewhere down in the greenery here of the pine bough in front of it. But you can clearly see the nose, and it's a hooded nose, much like ours. It's a wide hooded nose, but then the big eye and you can't make out much else. But even up above it here, it does look like scraggly hair. It's not smooth like this is. And then if you look at the picture itself, I mean, the tree bark of these trees is very rough. It's got all this, I don't know, bumps and stuff on it, as pine usually is. And yet this is very smooth. So it's still, I mean, I will leave it open that it could be pareidolia, but it's a hell of a capture that could genuinely be the real thing. And I really do tend to believe it. And thank you to Barbara for posting this in the Discord so that, people can check it out. So I just think it's interesting. But that will come up later. So I wanted to highlight it again because I talked about it last night for a long time and we ended up running out of time for the actual story. So anyway, this has been, ladies and gentlemen, the Discord question of the week. Please get involved in the Discord if you can. If somebody would mind putting the link in the chats, I would appreciate it. But it's basically https://discord.gg/paranormal portal. And we'd love to have you become a member of the community there as well. So, but hope you enjoyed this segment. Let's get on with it. What do you think of that, Jimmy?
I like that.
You like that picture, though?
I do, yeah.
I really do.
I mean, it's definitely, I don't know. How close were they when they took that?
I don't remember the distance they were at, but I think it was a matter of tens of feet, like 80 feet or something. They figured the figure was away or something like that. It was with a decent camera and stuff. But if you look at the big picture, it's like it's tucked back in there, but it's so strategically placed, and it was positioned. Like if we want to look at something, we have a tendency to make sure both of our eyes could see it, and it's very clearly our face, but it just brought out enough of its eye to have one out there and one still obscured, and it was just watching, and it squinted like it was hiding its eyeball, like it's just trying to really blend in. So it just
Yeah.
seems so damn intelligent, you know. It just comes across that way to me. So there's an article we're going to get to first before the cryptids. Obviously, I wanted to, well, I guess it's 8:19. We better get right to the cryptids. Otherwise, we're not going to have time for the cryptids. And since we just showcased that trail or that photograph, it wasn't a trail cam image, it's a photograph. But let's get to the story that I never got to last night, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to dive into that. And this is coming from Sasquatch Chronicles blog at sasquatchchronicles.com. Please check it out. Wes works hard on this as well as his podcast. So every day you'll find new postings and new information. There's Tommy Cooper. Good to see you, brother. Good to see you. You know, maybe before this, Jimmy, we should do some shout outs for YouTube.
Yeah.
I can tell you that on Rumble right now, I got Barbara Mora, Justin Goodearth, and me. And
Nice.
HB Girl to you too, or to you, is there. So it's a little quieter over in Rumble tonight. It was a little more busy last night, but good to see you guys. Thank you for coming. And Twitch seems pretty quiet. So can you shout out the people in YouTubes?
Yeah, we got Barbara Mora, Chucky Danger, Grumpy Owl, John Timpreen, Omar Falgood 34, Omar. We got Rachel Gets It Right, Tommy Cooper, Tracy Linnell. Who's that? Rick Wegrins.
Wegerson, yeah.
Wegerson.
Mm-hmm.
We got who just jumped in? Tommy Cooper. I said Wizard Moon 13, SoCal Squatcher, and
Karen
I think I got
Alberding.
them all. Yep, Karen Alberdine.
Good to see you guys. Thank you so much. Omar Fallgood, 34. Yep. Good to see you. Thank you. That's a new name to me, I think. It's nice to meet you. Thanks for coming in and checking out the show. And Wizard Moon. Did you get Wizard Moon? You might have.
Yep, Wizard Moon 13.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Jimmy. I appreciate it. And again, there's more people out there watching, but that's who's talking. So all we can do is shout out those of you that are chatting. If you're not chatting, we just don't know. And back to the cougars in the woods, Chucky says. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the Sasquatch Chronicles article. And this has to do with a report that he got from a listener. And well, let me pull it up so you guys can see it. And it's Sasquatch Chronicles. April 11th, an almost human face. A listener writes, my husband and I are long-distance hikers, and we've the distinction of the Triple Crown, which means we've hiked all 3 long trails in the USA. Living on trail for 6 months each time, we hike the trails, the AT, Appalachian Mountains, the PCT, the Sierras and the Cascades, the CDT, the Rocky Mountains. We're familiar with the sights and sounds of the forests as well as the various animals. When we are home to stay in shape, we hike a trail 3 to 4 times a week, an 8-mile RT, private trail. What does that mean, RT? An 8-mile something.
Retweet.
What's that?
No, I was retweet. That's not it.
I don't think they're talking Twitter. The private trail, whatever it is. But anyway, usually we're gone for 6 to 9 months a year. But in 2020, during COVID, we're here and hiking the trail. Around June 18th, 2020, we'd reached the lake and we were on the return hike to our home. We heard repeated calls from what we thought was a bird. We'd never heard the call before, and we've not heard it since. I can't tell you about the call because I wasn't focused on it, so I didn't memorize it. I was focused on seeing what made the call. I expected to see a bird or animal and categorize in my mind that animal makes that sound and move on, and instead, what I saw stumped me. I will describe the where and the how. The trail follows and is above Grass Valley Creek, and I was perhaps 30 feet above and walking and away from the creek. In looking at the source of the call, I looked down and saw what I thought was a bear licking water out of the creek, except there was something off as this bear had no ears. About that time, that thought registered that the animal, and then the animal looked up. An almost human face, no snout. The eyes got so wide, I could see white all around the black iris. It was shocked to see me looking at it. and it's on the opposite bank from me, it turned and on all fours climbed from the creek up a steep hillside about 30 feet, turned left, and still on all fours ran beside a huge downed tree, hiding, question mark, made a switchback, and then ran up the steep hill, the steep mountain. During this time, I'm trying to get a better look at what I'm seeing. It was on all fours, but with bent knees. Its back was level. When it turned to run up the hill, I had an unobstructed view of it running on two legs with arms swinging. I watched till it ran out of sight. I will tell you, I was very confused by what I saw. I racked my brain through all the known animals, but came up with nothing. What it looked like. Tall and skinny, like a teenage kid with a growth spurt. About 6 feet tall, no breasts, no testicles dangling. The thighs did not touch the crotch. Long legs, short black hair everywhere that I saw, except the face. The fur was matte or flat color, not shiny like human hair. The interesting part is that once it saw me, it changed its cry and was now hollering up the hill to something. Its voice was scared. It was scared of me, and I was stunned to see it. I finally told my husband that I'd seen something, but I didn't know what it was. I only knew what it wasn't. Later that night, I awoke to a very foul smell outside of my window. Looks like it followed you home. My thoughts. It was a juvenile, probably a female. Wasn't supposed to be seen. There were family members awaiting its return. That the initial call we heard was to let the parents track its location. That something followed me home, which is easy to do since we always pee on the trail and then outside of our place too. Okay. Follow up in early June 2022. Again, we were around, back hiking and peeing in the trail again. We had guests staying in a trailer on our property close to the place. We, sister-in-law and I, both were awakened by a terrible smell. During breakfast, the conversation shifted to the terrible odor that had awakened her. After this second experience, I began researching Bigfoot. It took me a long time to wrap my brain around the idea of Bigfoot. We were non-believers. I now believe that is what I saw. My husband knows I saw something, but he still doesn't believe Bigfoot is real. Since watching the shows, I've come to notice that in the vicinity of where I saw it, we have an upside-down tree and 5 to 6 bent/broken trees. Wow. That's crazy, huh?
Yeah, and leaving the trail of pee is also crazy. That seems like just bringing them right home.
It's like follow the yellow brick road.
That one was deserved.
Tommy Cooper said girls smell kind of funny, just saying. Oh, Tommy, spoken like a true sage. No, girls smell wonderful, of course. There you go. Sirens are freaky. Yeah, they are. Any kind of sirens, whether they're police sirens or luring sailors to their doom. They're all kind of freaky. All right. Well, there you go. That's a cool story. Again, it's funny, I guess, to see something like that and to struggle to try to understand what you just saw. And I love these kind of stories, Jimmy, because I think it's really cool when people do finally see it. One of the big constants in the Bigfoot skeptics purview is, I've been out in the woods my whole life and I've never seen nothing like that, never heard nothing like that, and and it's just those. I don't know if it's an arrogance or just a desire to hang on to their paradigm or what, but they just won't give it any credibility until they see it. And once they see it, they're just like, it's just this incredible paradigm shift. It's like their whole world just turned upside down. And so many people that have spent their lives out in the woods never seeing or hearing anything see them, and they no longer are willing to go to the woods. Like, that's such a common thread in this stuff that it's like, well, I'm not going to be out there. Yeah. Tommy Cooper says,
Yeah.
I've been a logger for 20 years. Yeah, that one comes up all the time too. But, all those game cameras is another one. Yeah. And certainly if these things, these beings are intelligent, and I believe they are intelligent, they probably can see our trail cameras really, really easily because this is their home. They know the way things are supposed to look, and when something doesn't look that way, they probably avoid the hell out of it. Not to mention that they probably catch our scent all over these areas and are like, people have been here, just get away from there. I don't think they go out of their way to check us out unless it's in the cover of darkness. And then there's the idea that, if it's a trail camera, they can probably see the IR, sensor light or whatever, and can tell that something's there. And generally speaking, one person, and I don't know who brought this up, it might have been Bear when I interviewed him from the Bigfoot Outlaws, and I think it was, but he said, when you see trail camera images of like deer or raccoons or whatever, 90% of the time they're looking right at the camera. They don't know what it is, but they know it's not normal, and they're staring at it. And it's like, so if it's something more intelligent, it's going to know it's not normal, and they're going to stay the hell away from it. Right, Jimmy?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Tommy says people are noisy, and he's absolutely right. I mean, I will say this. I think that there are some people that are pretty adept in the woods. Like, I think that bow hunters are some of them, and other hunters. I think that people are, that have spent a lot of time in the woods, learn how to traverse the woods. But I think when you compare us, and even the best of us, to the natural world, we are incredibly clumsy and awkward. And I think, things hear and smell us long before they see us. And if they don't want to see us, they're going to get the hell out of the way. So I think in a lot of cases, there's a reason people have been in the woods their whole lives and never seen one. It's because they didn't want you to see them. They didn't want to see you. They just wanted to get away.
And even just, the act of putting up a trail cam is probably going to leave smell, noise.
Yes, absolutely.
You could be watching the entire time that you're putting it out there.
Probably. I don't know, Jimmy, how much you've been in the woods, but I think you're kind of outdoorsy.
A lot, yeah.
Exactly. But how many times have you been in the woods and like the crows just go crazy? Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah.
That's got to be part of their early warning system. It's just like, the crows are freaking out. Someone's in the woods. They must know these sounds and these behaviors. And they know that when even squirrels chattering, I've had squirrels chattering at me, like cussing me out, like, what the hell are you doing here? Like, in their own squirrel language, and I could be anthropomorphizing them a little bit, but it seems like that they get sometimes really pissy about it. And that squirrel chattering can be loud too. And other birds, so not to mention, things going quiet when we're around versus when we're not, that kind of thing. So I think they know their home really, really well. And we would be very, very, very hard pressed to enter into any wild area without all of the nature knowing that we're there.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that benefits us is the fact that most of nature forgets we're there and then goes back to what it was doing. It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think I've told you before, we hunt and we'll go pheasant hunting, and there will be times where we'll close the car door as quietly as possible, and you'll see three birds flush all the way down the field. You're like, okay, yeah, that's how obvious we are out here.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody ought to invent quiet doors. Just like that would probably help a ton.
Yeah, some DeLorean doors.
Yeah, exactly. They just hiss a little and then it's done. Yeah. That would be nice. But no, we got the slamming ones. Okay, kids.
We're here.
Yeah, we're here. Let's go. Yeah, exactly. We're not very graceful in the woods, folks, but, there are some of us that are much better than others. Like I said, like bow hunters, I think are are much more adept in the woods than a lot of people, because they do have to get close. I mean, bow hunters have to get close to what they're trying to hit. They can't just sit out at 60, 80 yards and start lobbing arrows. So they got to be within a close range so they can hit the shot. So I think they're pretty good, but and they probably have the best chance of many of us. But of course, the First Nations, I think, we're very much a part of this wild world around us, and lived in balance with it. So they were incredibly, and are probably very incredibly adept at being there. But most of us city slickers don't know much of anything. So
Yeah.
I'll just throw that
recommend moccasins to to muffle your feet so that you can feel things before you crunch them.
That's
And
one of my wants in life, is to have a really nice pair of buckskin moccasins. I've always
yeah,
wanted those. I mean, first of all, I hate wearing shoes anyway. Like, I'm barefoot whenever I can be, but
I'm right there with you.
yeah, I just hate shoes. I hate socks and shoes, and that's why I hate snow, I think, a lot. But I just think that that's much more the way we should be walking around, is with, those, not that I, advocate people killing stuff, but, we got to do that, unfortunately. But you might as well use what you're killing and, make moccasins and stuff. I don't know. That probably sounded incredibly stupid. It felt really wholesome in my head, but my personal filter is a little askew, I guess. But I'm just saying, it feels much more natural to me, the idea of walking around in moccasins, than walking around in these rubberized, polyesterized, things. But, anyway,
I like the going barefoot, but the only downside is I need the arch support. I got some flat feet.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well,
Yeah,
could be from shoes though, really.
it could be. Yeah.
Could be. There's the next one from Sasquatch Chronicles from April 11th. Straight incident while hunting. Well, here you go. Here's a hunter story. A listener writes, so around 2003, a hunting friend and myself had a very strange thing happen to us. I live in Mercer County in Ohio, and it's west central Ohio, flatland, small boxwoods, and miles of cornfields. I live in a small town where we have one of the largest man-dug lakes in the world, and it's 5 miles wide and 10 miles long. Yeah, that's huge. It was dug by hand. Really? Yeah, it's pretty ambitious. By German immigrants for water supply for the canal. I think it's canal. It says canal systems in Ohio, and maybe that's a word. I don't know. I'm not familiar with it. I'm telling you this because I think these things could travel the old canal. I'm just going to say canal from time to time. The BFRO has one report from back in the 70s close to the canals. Sorry, I keep reading it like it's written, and it may be a word. I'm not familiar with it. One night while out running our coon dogs, I almost said corn dogs, our coon dogs, we had a very weird night. We had very nice hounds, and they did their job, no nonsense dogs. We cut 2 dogs into a section we often hunted, and it didn't take long for my dog to open up on a track, and then my buddy's dog opened up. Shortly after, the dogs went quiet, followed by high-pitched squeaks from both dogs, and then not another peep out of either dog. We had tracking collars on the dogs, but we couldn't get a signal from them. These collars can be tracked for 5 miles or so, but we had nothing. We looked at each other discussing why the dogs were acting strange, coyotes running a deer. We didn't know, but our dogs almost never ran off game. It was early September, so the corn was 7 or 8 feet tall and still green, and we was standing in it. I'm just going to read it like it's written. All of a sudden, I had an overwhelming feeling of fear sweep over me. We heard something running around us in a circle. It sounded like more than one thing, and it was big. It stopped moving, and I could hear heavy breathing, and then they started moving again. Not going to lie, I was scared, very scared. I moved closer to my friend and asked him if I think he could hear that. And what is it? He just said, "Be quiet. Listen." We heard some more movement and then nothing. We continued to try to track the dogs, but nothing. All of a sudden, I heard something splatter. I looked at John and he said, "What the?" His shoulders was covered in a thick, clear slime that smelled awful. It freaked John out. Ugh, that'd be horrible. We headed back to the truck. Keep in mind, these dogs are worth literally thousands of dollars, so heading back without them wasn't an easy choice. We got back to the truck and found both dogs hiding behind the back tire of the truck. We had to drag them out from under the truck. Not normal. These big walker hounds could easily have killed any animal that we have here. We loaded the dogs into the dog box and got into the truck, and the smell from John's jacket, was the nastiest thing I have ever smelled. John actually had to put it in the bed of his truck. Was it cryptic related? Cryptid, I think the person meant. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know anything else that could... Well, I mean, of course you think a skunk, but that's not normally a slimy liquid.
I'd say my gut when it comes to slimes is usually cryptids. Cryptids are ghosts.
I mean, it's already a creepy thing, right? So it was close enough. I don't know. I've always thought that it must be some gland thing, and some people have surmised that it might be in like their armpits areas, that when they get agitated, they will emit this horrible stench. But what if it comes out in a sheet like that? But that doesn't even stand to reason, though, because generally speaking, people can smell that foul smell, and then the smell kind of dissipates, and then there's nothing. So, I mean, if it was just these sheets of this slimy goo, that would still be there stinking, right? So I don't understand.
Imagine.
This is the very first story I've ever heard of someone claiming that there was this sheet of slimy goo that just kind of fell over this one person. I've never heard that before. I've heard of many stories of people smelling a really horrible odor, but it's generally there and for a period of time, and then it dissipates. So I don't know, unless they had a stuck gland or something and it just all came out in a big poo or something. I don't know. I don't know what to do with that, but that's
just running in circles trying to unstick the gland.
Yeah.
It worked.
Trace says, "Dude, that smells creepy. That is dead goo." Yeah. Like anal gland, just like a dog. That's the shifting side to side all the time. I don't know. I don't know, Chucky, if that's true or not. It could be. I mean, it's a fair guess, but I don't know where people came up with the idea that it might be under their arms. I just don't know. I know that, my dogs are barking right now. I'll just throw that out there, and I know it's coming from my arms, not my anal glands, but I'm an idiot. Just get used to it, folks. If you're new to the show, this is about as good as it gets. But I will say that, whatever it is, I don't know. It just sounds so disgusting that it's, covered this person and they had to get rid of their jacket for the ride home. Because that's not going to wash right out. You can bet on that.
No, yeah, I threw away the jacket, I think.
Time to upgrade your jackets.
Yeah.
Possibly. Let's see what's next. There's another one from... I don't even know what time we got. Oh, it's 8:43. So we're getting there. About 15 minutes. Maybe one more. Ooh. This one's a big one. I don't think I can read this one in 15 minutes, so I'm going to have to skip to the next one, and this one's called The Runaways. I'm looking forward to reading that one, but I'll save it for our next live show. Here's one. This one's more manageable. This is April 10th encounter in Oregon from Sasquatch Chronicles blog. A listener writes, "We flew out to Oregon for a week for an athletic event that my family and I got invited to compete in. And we decided to take a small trip afterwards up into the government camp where we rented an Airbnb. I'd be happy to point out the house on a Google Maps. The house was positioned at the very edge of the woods with a trailhead leading right to the driveway. I got to take a drink. I'm hiccuping. There you go. The snapping plastic. A hallmark of every show. All right, so the house was positioned at the very edge of the woods with a trailhead leading right to the driveway. The first night was mainly us relaxing and finding some activities for the next morning. There was no sightings of anything the first night, but my sister was flashing a light out on the balcony of the house. To be honest, that's what I think kind of signaled whatever we saw, interacted with, that we were even there. The same night, while me and my dad were out in the hot tub under the balcony, I felt like I was being watched. My back was to the woods at this point, so I ended up switching sides, and the feeling was still there, but I couldn't pinpoint it. My dad said he really didn't notice it, but he could have been lying just to not freak me out. I've always felt comfortable in the woods, but I don't know if it was because of this was my first time in the Pacific Northwest, but it felt really, really off. We headed off to bed around 9-ish with no other problems that day. The 3 days we were there went off without a hitch, but the nights were always uneasy. My sister and I were sleeping up on the second floor with my parents on the first, and this is where it starts to kind of get weird. My mom said that she woke up in the middle of the second night and saw a figure standing at the window that was absolutely massive. She described it with no neck and almost hunched over to look inside the window. And on the third night, she said she saw 2 of them. She even said she couldn't move, almost like she was paralyzed, as they just sort of stood and stared. Neither of my parents before this trip even ever considered them being real. We all just joked about them, and my sister and I weren't told about this until the morning we were leaving. That night, I went outside to the balcony to see where they could have even gotten onto it. I walk around the side and see broken spindles. I think that's what they're called. This side of the balcony was right next to a gravel path, which is shown in the video attached. Granted, it could have absolutely been snow that knocked them out of place, but it was so strange. It was only on that one side, and either way, I go and look into the gravel path and see some weird spots where the gravel is just slightly higher than the rest. The picture is terrible, but it's the best one I got. So, like an idiot teenager, I go to the piece of woods where they most likely came from, but don't see anything weird. So I was just about to turn around and head back up when something hit a tree. It really freaked me out, and I just kind of stood there, and then another thing hit it. I'm pretty sure they were rocks, but I had no clue where they could have came from. So I ended up booking it back up into the house. The house has a guest logbook for families and their adventures, which is pretty cool. We had a few moments to skim through it, and I found an entry written by a few kids talking about a man dressed in all black with a light. It was really strange since I think there were 2 other descriptions written like that by other kids. No adults mentioned it at all, which was even creepier. Oh, look at that. Yeah, like between 2 trees. Kind of made a drawing of something, some human guy standing there or something. I can't make it out to read it, but I'll put a link in the description or in the chats if anybody wants to see that firsthand. But yeah, that's very weird. That is kind of wild. Other people were experiencing some kind of humanoid-looking creature, and there's no other pictures of the path or anything that are on here.
Only kids too.
What's that?
Only the kids are seeing it too, which does absolutely make it way creepier.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, really, it's always, I mean, if it's adults, you deal with it, but if it's kids, it's like, man, what are they doing? What do
Yeah.
they want with the kids is, the kind of the scary thought. But I mean, nobody got hurt in any of these stories. So I guess it's just
Yeah.
probably just curiosity more than anything, but that's crazy. Huh. I think that's a cool story.
Yeah, I like that one. The
849.
logbook is that's a nice touch. That's extra creepy.
That is, I've stayed at a couple Airbnbs, and I did actually fill out one of them. Just, put some notes in there and said thank you, because it was actually a haunted location, and you'll be seeing that videos after the Montvale. I'll send you the
Oh, absolutely.
yeah, I'll send you the footage, but it was pretty intense. Pretty intense house. It was a haunted house, and it definitely was. It wasn't like disturbingly haunted. It was just there was something there, and it was screwing with a lot of equipment, but it was pretty cool. It's all fun and games till someone gets their hair pulled. Amen, John Temperin. Amen. But yeah, that's a cool story. So I did put that in the chat. I think, nope, that's it for Sasquatch Chronicles. I'm just looking if there's anything quick from, that's a lot, from Phantoms and Monsters, because Lon does a hell of a job as well. And I love, this is a La Lorna article.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Love that. Love those.
Ooh, that's creepy. This one I might be able to do. This has to do with La Lorna. So this isn't really cryptid related, but this is coming from phantomsandmonsters.com. This is Lon Strickler's site. Amazing site full of thousands of stories and encounters that people have sent, or Lon has been sent from other sources. And he puts them up on his site. And if you're looking at different type of phenomena, this is a great location. He deals with Dogman a lot, the Mothman and Bigfoots, ghostly stuff, supernatural, cryptids, Fortean topics, and it's a great repository for a lot of incredible encounter stories. It's also a great location to learn about Lon's published works. Lon's been at this for decades, and he's truly one of the pillars of the community, and Phantoms and Monsters is one of the pillars of our community as well. And it's been wonderful getting to know Lon and consider him a friend. He's been on the show a few times. We've had great discussions. Really cool guy, but it's also where you can find out about Phantoms and Monsters Radio, which is Lon's podcast and YouTube channel. So check that out on YouTube. Go over, check it out, get subscribed, and support what he's doing. Visit phantomsandmonsters.com. Here it is, photo La Lorna entity, and I'm not sure if I should say La Llorona, or I don't know in Spanish.
La Rona?
Isn't two L's in Spanish an R? Isn't that how you say it?
I've heard this pronounced, and I watched the movie, and I'm still terrible at pronouncing this one.
Okay.
I always read it, so I never say it out loud.
Yeah, I know. I've struggled with this one, and I've never actually looked into the official pronunciation of it, but I would just say La Llorona. Entity horrifies Salta, Argentina police officer. And this is a photograph taken in Salta, Argentina, went viral on May 2020. The ghostly figure of a woman dressed in white, La Llorona, can be seen behind the policeman who is taking a selfie. The following account was forwarded to me by my associate, Osvaldo Greco, May 21st, 2020. A photograph taken in Salta, Argentina went viral. The ghostly figure of a woman dressed in white can be seen behind the policeman. The photo was taken during a patrol along Salta Provincial Highway 5. A selfie taken by Salta police officer went viral hours ago, showing the presence of a ghostly female figure that was recognized by many as La Llorona. Accompanying the image was, which was shared through WhatsApp, was a series of audio claiming the police officer was admitted to a clinic foaming at the mouth following the incident. Oh, that's horrible. Looks like a young guy, too. According to the message, the agent was engaged in a COVID-19 health and safety patrol along Provincial Route number 5 on the Carboncito wilderness when he decided to take a selfie. That was a bad selfie spot, apparently. Yeah, there's the...
Yeah.
Thank God for the big arrow, because you can't miss that.
Wouldn't have seen that, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's either the red circle or the big arrow, but either way, it really helps narrow it down. Upon noticing that La Llorona was in the photo, the audio explains The man it says felt unconscious, but fell unconscious to the ground and foaming in his mouth, while one of his companions prayed, and a third one didn't know where to run as a result of the fear and despair of hearing the heart-rending screams of the wandering spirit. It ends by saying that the young man was admitted, and he's now in the hospital, and he seems insane. La Llorona is a Latin American legend whose origins can be traced to Mexico. According to the story, it is a ghost of a woman who was in love with a Spanish knight at the time. The young woman had 3 children with the man, but after insisting that they formalize their relationship, she was deserted and left to her fate. This broke her heart, and in an act of madness, she drowned the children and unalived herself. Due to this, her soul becomes a wandering spirit, haunting cities, rivers, and roads, weeping disconsolately. I don't know. I'm trying to say this. Disconsolately. I don't know. I don't know why that I can't say it. How do you say it?
I was fumbling myself. Disconsolately.
Yeah, I don't know. While she looks for her children, haunting those she comes across. Even though the Salta police have issued no statements about the situation, several officers from the area where the events took place reported anonymously that the photo had been tampered with using an app while the audios were fraudulent. So, nothing to see here, folks.
Yeah, that was too. That would look too good to be true.
It does, yeah. Honestly, those apps can be a real pain in the butt.
Yeah, they're so easy to use too.
Yeah, and even there's ghost apps, ghost photograph apps, and I've downloaded a few, and I've just like, oh no, obviously it's superimposing these ghostly images on top, and it's just like, oh come on. And I've had and I feel bad because people reach out to me from time to time with things that they've captured, and sometimes they're from these apps. And honestly, if you just do a Google search for ghost app photos, you'll oftentimes find all of them. And I did that for the person that reached out to me and, hey, I caught this ghost photo. What do you think? And I was like, I think you must be using a ghost app, and here's the image on Google, and it's real common. And I said, but and I feel bad because people are only doing that because of their interest in the field and wanting to start exploring. But these apps are so fraudulent in many cases, and they just create all of these false positives and make people think they're really onto something. And so definitely if you're going to, it's La Llorona or my Sharona.
9 Coronas.
Ooh, you make my motor run. When you're going to give me some time, Llorona. Sorry. Anyway, but yeah, be careful with the apps because there's a lot of crap out there. There's just a ton of crap, and you really got to research the apps if you're going to look into phone apps and stuff like that. And of course, editing videos and images is nothing new. So whenever you're looking at this stuff online, keep it in mind that chances are what you're looking at is some kind of fake, but it may be real, but you got to look into the backstories. If something just pops up, it's like all those Bigfoot photos that showed up with these 20-foot tall Bigfoots next to like hillbillies up in the hills and stuff. It's like, where'd that come from? And there's no backstory, but there they are, these pristine images on this sepia tone kind of print. And it's like, yeah, come on. It's obviously AI. And people were just throwing them everywhere. Like, oh man, this just got uncovered. They were found in a jar in Kentucky, in the earth. It's like, no, they weren't. They were found on the AI app. But, God bless people for being excited and looking into this stuff. But yeah. All right. So I don't know, where are we at with time? We got to be about done, right? We are about done. Jimmy, we did a whole show.
We did it.
That was the quietest clap I've ever heard in my life.
I can't tell. I'm either yelling or I'm too quiet with headphones on.
It's fine. It's the visual that counts. So, but thank you so much for joining me, Jimmy, and going through the portal with me tonight. I appreciate it, brother.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me every time. I love it.
Yeah, I love having you. So whenever you're available, just keep coming back because there'll always be a chair waiting for you, man.
Love it.
All right. And to all of you, thank you so much for checking out the show. Please check out that investigation video of the haunted historic Davenport Hotel. It's on YouTube. It's on Rumble. It'll be on BitChute soon if it's not already. It's auto updates over there, which saves me a little bit of energy, but is not on Twitch because Twitch is not that kind of platform. We can live stream to Twitch, and there are videos you can watch of past live streams, but I can't upload videos there. So it is on those 3 platforms currently, and we'd love your support. If you do check it out, please give it a like. Please leave a comment because it really does feed the algorithm on these platforms and help those platforms to recommend it as well. So I would appreciate your help. And please, if you like the video, share it. Let other people know. This investigation portion of the show is a big part of my vision for where I want the portal to go in the future. I'd like to do a lot more of this, but I need your help. I need your support. I need you guys to help put it out there so that it gains momentum. And, you know, in retrospect, because I'll tell you what, the equipment is not cheap. The accommodations are not cheap. There's a lot of expenses involved with this, and I'm not a rich person. I need all the help I can get. And so if you guys could help, I'd appreciate it a bunch. Just please help share it out there and let people know. It would mean the world to me. It really would. You guys have built this house up to this point. I don't advertise the shows. I don't advertise what we're doing. It's all word of mouth and people finding it. But you guys have been amazing, and you've helped to make this what it is. So thank you for all the love and support. Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you to our amazing mods and all of you guys that are here watching, our channel members. Thank you so much. And we'll be live again on Wednesday, and watch for the new podcast on Sunday. Sunday night. Well, actually, it'll be released Monday. I upload it like at about midnight on Sunday. So watch for that because this one will be a good one. It has to do with instrumental transcommunication. I worked with, I met with the Staticom team, and it's a new approach using a proprietary build that they're capturing some pretty incredible EVP evidence. And tune in. It's going to be kind of technical, but it's incredibly interesting and it's incredibly exciting. And I hope you guys love it. So anyway, that's all we got for tonight. Jimmy, anything in closing?
I think Princess Lion threw in a donation.
Oh, really?
Got a shout out.
All right. Thank you, Princess Lion. I appreciate it. All right. Thank you guys for your generosity, and that all helps a ton too. So thank you all. And I guess that's it. So remember, we love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day, and remember to laugh as much as you can. And we'll be back Wednesday. These live shows happen Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, and they eventually make it to BitChute as well. So check us out wherever you check out videos, and we appreciate your love and support. And until then, you all take care.